when you think of Mexico, a big thing that you're going to think about is their culture. Now, their culture, many people like to embrace their culture. But when you think about their culture, you might think of a lot of things. You might think of the dances or the clothing that they wear. You might think of the art that they do. Or a lot of people think of the music, mariachis or things like that. But a main thing that everyone loves and thinks about is Mexican food. Now, there are a lot of diverse things in Mexican food. You think tacos, burritos, tamales, things like that. But if you think about those food items, and let's say, I don't know, you're going to a Mexican restaurant, and let's say you order the tacos. If you get a meal with that, you're most likely going to get rice. And if you get anything like a burrito, you're going to get rice. Or anything that has to do with Mexican food, you're probably going to get rice with it. And that's why today I'm going to teach you how to make Mexican rice. It is a staple to any Mexican dish that you're going to make. So the things that you're going to need to make your Mexican rice is obviously a cooking pot. You're going to need a 14.5 ounce can of chicken broth, an 8 ounce can of tomato sauce, and onion powder and garlic powder. Now you can add whatever you want to those spices, but usually I just go with those two. So your first step is you're going to want to take a cup of rice and put it into the pot. Now you're going to want to do this 2 times, as it takes 2 cups of rice to cook this. So, and you're going to want to turn the heat on, of course. But yeah. Next thing you're going to need to do is brown the rice. This is one of the most tricky parts of doing it. It sounds like an easy task that would really be easy to do, but browning the rice, it kind of just takes like some knowledge in what you're doing. So basically, to know that you've browned the rice, you don't want your rice to burn. And so if it looks like it's browning but it hasn't burned yet, that's good. If it's burning, maybe you want to start the next step. Next step is putting the entire 14.5 ounce can of chicken broth into the pan or into the pot. It should probably make a big steam come up, and that's good and everything. And then you're going to want to stir and mix it within the rice. Next thing you're going to want to do, you're going to take this 8 ounce can of tomato sauce, and you're going to want to also put it in to the rice. But you're not going to want to put the whole thing in. You want to put it at more than half of the can in, so about 4 ounces of it, if you want to measure it, and put it in there. If you put too much tomato sauce in it, it's going to taste weird, so just don't do that. It'll taste like very tomatoey, and it might dry out. So yeah, that's very important that you do that right. And then of course you're going to want to stir it and mix it around. Yeah. This next step is it's not optional, but you can add whatever you want to this. You can take out whatever you want from this. Like if you don't like onion powder or garlic powder or salt, just don't put it in. Or if you want to put something else into it, of course there's other ways to make Mexican rice than how I'm teaching you today. But this is the main way that I make it and that I was always taught to make it. So you're going to want to take salt, garlic powder, and onion powder and put it in. Now, there's not specific measurements to do this, of course, because only you know if you're seasoning it right. So I would suggest maybe after you season it, mix it around and then taste it, see if what's missing or what you need to add more of. But yeah, after you do that, just mix it, and you're going to want to let it boil. So that may take about 3 minutes for it to really start boiling. If you want, you can try putting more stuff in, or whatever you think that might help it, or what's missing, or whatever. So in that next 3 minutes, you want to figure out what's missing or if it's good or not. And so after it starts boiling, you're going to want to put the top lid on it and cook it for about 20 minutes on low temperature. It varies on the time amount that you should have it cooking. You at least want to have it in there for about 20 minutes. If you open it and it's still not cooked, maybe you might want to put it in for an extra 5 minutes, but you don't want to put it in there too long, because then the rice dries out really quick, and it doesn't taste that good when it dries out. So you really got to be smart when you're doing this part, because it is very important that you don't dry out the rice, because then it just ruins the entire dish. So I like my rice not to be dry, and so I would suggest keeping an eye on your rice whenever you're doing this last step. And then after you do that, you have Mexican rice, boom. And that's over. You can add it with any Mexican dish, or any dish really that you need, like tacos or burritos or tamales or anything. It really fits with every dish. And so that's why I wanted to teach you about it, is because a key part of Mexican culture is obviously the food, like I talked about in the beginning of the presentation. But with the Mexican food, this is my main thing when I think of Mexican food, because it goes with everything. If you have a Mexican dish, you're gonna have rice. You're gonna have Mexican rice. So yeah.
Okay, so the next